Was I muted this whole time? Oh my God. I had a feeling I should come in and check that out. I just looked in the comments. I just saw some comments coming across the screen here. So I did that once before. All right. Somebody tell me they got sound. Somebody tell me they got sound. Let's see. Let me look in the chat. Can y'all hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I should have been monitoring the chat. Holy cow. Let's see. Got sound now coming from Facebook. Okay. All right. One moment, guys. Let me just make sure we have this right, and then we'll get this going. Let's let this settle in. All right. I'm so glad that I checked the comments there. So anyway, we probably lost just about everybody who was on this call. Y'all say you can hear me now. I cannot believe I started this on mute. It's what happens when you're trying to rush. So look, I want you to hear the things that, I hear you couldn't hear on YouTube, so I jumped on Facebook. Okay. I gotcha. So let me remove this from the stage, and we'll give this another go here. Okay. Oh, that's embarrassing. Anyway, sorry for wasting a little bit of your time there, but let's go ahead and let me talk to you. Let me frame this up for you because it is really important. It's extremely important, actually. So y'all have sound. We have good visual from what I'm seeing in the comments. Let me just make sure if I missed anything else. I must be stone deaf. That's funny. Okay. I think y'all are back with me here. We got the sound working properly. And yep, exactly. I was looking in the comments. Okay. I wonder if there's a way where I can cut out the whole beginning on this. I don't think so because we'll see what we can do with the replay here. I'm sure I can. So, but it'll be in a weird place. I have to upload that stuff manually. Actually, I don't think I will. I think I can just erase this and then just upload it as a recording. It'll say that that it's live. Okay. So look, here's the thing, folks. Let's do this. Let's rewind back to the beginning. Hey, everybody. It's Joel Sangerman, and you're tuned in here to the Don't Confuse a Bull Market with Brains event. The event that you actually came to, the event that now has sound, so you'll be able to hear how to not confuse a bull market with brains. So look, what I was saying is if you're watching this on Facebook, you can comment, but as you can see, I can't see who the comments are coming from, whereas on YouTube, I can. So it might make sense to just jump over to YouTube. And when you do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that thing. Because you're going to want to be notified when we do things like we're going to do tonight and get a little bit salty. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to get a little bit salty. And I'm going to warn you right now that, don't worry, I'm not going to be swearing too much. Hopefully not at all. But if you're easily offended and you're going to get all butthurt because I tell it like it is, then, maybe go watch the hockey game like I'm doing over here, which is probably why I had that on mute earlier. And watch it at the same time. What I was suggesting is this, is we've got about 2,700 members in the Facebook group, but only 900 are subscribed to YouTube. And I'm wondering why. Because YouTube is actually a much better platform for this kind of thing. So, come on, get subscribed, hit that subscribe button over there so we can begin to offer up more trainings on YouTube instead of just in the Facebook group, which is a little bit more of a pain in the neck. We can create a little bit broader of a base which then allows for things like potentially interviewing some of the people who are either doing, promoting, or advocating some of the shenanigans and ballyhoo that we're going to be exposing today. That's right. Things like brr. I like saying it too, but things like brr. Things like lending people earnest money deposits for their first deal. I mean, should I take one to the head or through the mouth? Things like paying way too much money to get into a sub-2 deal. Things like learning from a community instead of the mentors, instead of the owners, instead of the coaches. Learning from a community or a group of predominantly clueless fanboys, fangirls who don't have the expertise to teach you like the actual mentors or the owner of the community possibly does. So look, I don't mean any offense to the owners of these pages or these communities. Actually, I like most of them personally very much. But there is a fountain of misinformation from Facebook community members in literally every post that just goes unchecked. And it makes me want to vomit. And that's not good. When so many people take the BS from unqualified community members, they take it as gospel. And it's just plain wrong most of the time. Now, I'm sure the owners of these groups, they know it's wrong, and they probably just don't have the time or the team in place to correct all the nonsense. But when hundreds of thousands of people are potentially acting on bad information that went unchecked, what does it do? It creates conflict. It creates chaos. And what happens when you have conflict and chaos? Well, possibly it could lead to things like we're seeing with wholesaling around the country, right? It could possibly lead to a tremendous amount of frustration that will come our way because we end up getting regulated with creative finance in ways that are just stupid, like what's happening with wholesaling around the country because of this uncontrolled mayhem that's caused by people who do want to make money, but they're too cheap to invest a few K in coaching from a myriad of choices of quality coaching programs that are out here. And then they choose to be taught instead by ignorant, uninformed nonsense, by random, clueless people who have never done any deals and are just posting misunderstood book knowledge that they think they have, but they don't. And I'm telling you right now, folks, I could go into any of these groups right now and I could show you example after example. And I could do an 8-hour live show impromptu at any time on any day of all the mishigas that I see in these sites. Mishigas, it's Yiddish, silliness, insanity, craziness. So it's great to have big groups, to have big forums. Undoubtedly, that's a tremendous accomplishment to be sure. But it is a problem when it becomes real estate investment schlemazel central. And people start influencing others with claims and suggestions that are just not factual. Things as recent as this week, last week, lease options in Texas, they're illegal. There's way more to that story. Or things like, I can hide my ownership of a sub-2 property from the bank. And they're suggesting ways. I know these aren't supported by the owners of the groups for sure. But people will post things about hiding ownership of a sub-2 property from the bank in ways that basically amount to criminal fraud. And people act on that because they're too cheap to buy coaching, which can course correct. I've literally seen this hogwash in there go unchecked, and then people lauding some random idiot who posted that as the GOAT while they get all excited over what amounts to complete garbage. So something has to be said, and I'm doing it. I mean, it's like I'm putting fires out every single day that are started in Facebook Schmendrick City, in Facebook Schmuckville, every day now. So yeah, it's a little aggravating. And I'm just going to point out some things today, not just from a few places, but from across the real estate investment training and educating universe that y'all might want to listen to. But let me ask you a question first, okay? How much are you paying for all this free training? Nothing, right? I'd submit to you that you're paying every day of your life, that you don't cowboy up, you don't cowgirl up and get some kind of coach to help you learn, to help you apply the skills that produce the big dollars that you want to produce. Because if you don't do that every day, it's a lost opportunity, and you are paying. You're paying every day by doing this cheap stuff here, YouTube, Facebook, trying to piece things together on your own instead of getting a guide to help you along the way. Doing it on your own, it almost never works. So look, there's a way to do this and there's a way to not do this. And that's what tonight's topic is of don't confuse a bull market with brains. What I think I want to do though is first share with you what good looks like, what you ought to be focused on. I showed you $1 million worth of deals done this way. And you're going to be much better off following this pathway than trying to do some of the things that are being recommended that really amount to shortcuts, but can get you in a world of trouble. Okay, so let me show you what I'm talking about here. Hopefully y'all can see this screen, and let me take a look here. Yeah. Oh, there we go. There we go. I'm just trying to look in the comments as we go here. Let me blow this up so y'all can see it a little better. I think you can maybe see it a little better now. Okay. So here's an example of a very simple kind of deal. I showed you $1 million of these a couple weeks ago. You can go watch that video. $1 million of real deals. This is a risk-free way of doing things, okay? And this situation presents itself by the thousands every day in every market. By the thousands across the country, okay? Let's say we've got a seller who's got a nice house. It's in a desirable area. It's worth $325,000. They bought it a few years ago with a small down payment, maybe 5%. So that means they owe what? $302,700 on the house. Now, what happens is a job opportunity in another state that the husband and wife don't want to pass up comes along. They got to get across the country now for the job. They're not going to be able to handle payments in the new place that they're going to get and this place. And they know that if they hire a realtor to sell this, they ain't going to get nothing because they got to pay off all this debt and pay the realtor and pay closing costs and maybe some inspection concessions along the way, prorations and things like that. So they just want the debt relief. They also know that to do that the traditional way, it's going to take some time. Time in a time where there's a new job, there's a move, perhaps across the country or to another city. They've got to get packed up. This causes a lot of stress and anxiety for people that they don't want. On top of the moving, on top of the job change, a couple of the most stressful things humans go through, right? In this day and age. It's just too much to deal with. So they just want to get it sold. They want to get the debt relief. They want to move on. So here you come galloping in on that horse, right? And we tell them it won't be your problem anymore. We'll take over the payments on this. Your name stays on the loan, but we'll take over the payments till we pay it off in full. You weren't going to get any money out of this thing anyway. Move on with your life. We'll help your credit all along the way. What you're not paying on this, you go get a new place with that. Fair enough? Folks, you don't have to be paying realtors and wholesalers. You be the person that gets this deal direct from the seller, so you're not paying these entry fees for the privilege to get a sub-2 deal. Folks, you're going to set yourself up for disaster paying all that money just to get a sub-2 deal where there's a realtor, a wholesaler, and giving the seller money. That is forcing a square peg into a round hole, and you might find yourself getting pinched if that property doesn't appreciate a lot. All right. So let's take a look at this deal. I'm going to talk more about why not to do that in a minute, but let's take a look more at this deal. So we've got a $302,700 loan balance with a $2,135 payment that includes principal, interest, taxes, insurance. We agree to take over these payments. We agree to pay their closing costs. We agree to take it as is. We agree to close whenever they're ready. And the sellers are relieved. They're excited, and it's not going to be their problem anymore. Now, what do we do with the property once we close on it? Well, the straight and narrow path I'd suggest to you is that we'll close on it and we'll sell it. Now in Texas, we won't sell it on a lease with an option to buy most of the time. We'll sell it with owner financing. In other places, we will sell it on a lease with an option to buy. No, lease options are not illegal in Texas, but there's rules and regulations that sometimes you'll be willing to deal with, and sometimes you won't. I just prefer to owner finance because I don't want to have to comply with the rules when I'm selling that come along with the lease option strategy. But it's not illegal. It's just regulated heavily. Okay, but in almost all other parts of the country, we'll just lease it on an option to buy. We'll lease it at a $349,000 option price because we're giving them time to try out the house, buy the house. We'll easily pick up 25 grand all day long. There'll be 5 people lined up to give you 25 grand on a beautiful house like this. You know, pretty much around the median, a little less than the median probably in most parts of the country, but you know, nice starter house, $25,000 non-refundable deposit. You're the only one offering something like that because they don't qualify for a bank loan right now. Something's wrong with their credit, or they got a job where they don't have enough seasoning of income on that job. There could be a divorce that occurred or one that's pending, something that's preventing underwriting from approving them. But they want to live in a house. They want to be part of the American dream. They don't want to be relegated to, you know, a dingy apartment or a dingy rental house. And here you come with this house that they can move in now, that comes with pre-existing financing, that they will give you $25,000 down on, that applies to their fair purchase price. If they exercise their option, they don't even have to exercise the option. It's a bonus for them. And we'll rent it for them, rent it to them during the option period that we give them for $2,700 a month. We'll give them 2 years sometimes to exercise their option. Now, why do we do it like that? Well, let's look at how we would do. When we buy the house, there's going to be some cost to us. We say we were going to pay the seller's closing cost, our closing costs, right? Maybe we have 5 grand or so in closing costs. So out of that 25 grand that we got from our buyer, we're walking away with $20,000 in our pocket. What about our cash flow? We're getting $2,700 a month against 21 something a month, $565 per month positive cash flow. Guess who's responsible for maintenance and repairs? My tenant buyer that I put in the property. Now, back end, well, we don't know yet because we don't know if our buyer's going to exercise the option. Do I hope they will or do I hope they won't? I'm somewhat agnostic. I probably hope they don't. But if they do exercise the option, we'll get another 21 grand. Plus whatever amount of debt has been paid down on the loan that we took over on our house because we own the house before our buyer buys. If we don't get this back end, all the better. We could either let them keep renting it, being responsible for maintenance and repairs, making this cash flow, paying the debt down. We're possibly getting appreciation along the way. Or they move out, they decide something changes in their life, they go somewhere else, so we go do the whole thing again, we get another 25 grand. The cycle repeats, we do it again, another 25 grand up front. Now the house maybe is worth 350, we get 35 grand. Could be worth less. Doesn't matter. But we can be agnostic as to what happens on the option and make a whole lot of money on the same house. We just don't know exactly what's going to happen. But how does this all work out for the others that are involved in the transaction? How does it work out for the seller? Well, the seller got to move on with their life quickly, easily, painlessly. That monthly debt was taken care of, and eventually all of it. They didn't have to worry about prepping for sale with cosmetic fixes. They didn't have to clean every weekend and declutter and stage the house. They didn't have to absorb any costs of the sale. How does it work out for us? Pretty doggone good. We picked up a great property with no contractors, no hard money lenders, no banks, no realtors, no cash out of pocket, no credit that we had to use. And we get depreciation as a tax advantage. We might get appreciation. I don't know if we will or we won't. We made easy cash quickly. Still hold the property too, as much as people make on assignments, but we still have the property with the ability to do it over and over and over again, potentially. So we make cash quickly. We make cash up front. We make cash monthly. And we did all this with no personal liability, no risk. That's what I'm talking about. We leveraged our brain instead of our brawn, instead of our pocketbook. What are the key profit centers? We got a non-refundable option fee from our tenant buyer and down as a down payment from our buyers. We always are going to make the spread between what we have to pay a seller and what we get from our buyer. So we're going to be making a monthly payment spread. We're also going to make a price spread. Now, we might get what I call a duration spread, which is what I kind of just described, because we might end up with a few buyers because people don't exercise their option during their option period and they move on. So we're getting down payments a few times, starting people over at ground zero. We're going to get the tax advantages of depreciation. We earn debt pay down. That increases our equity. And sometimes we get lucky and get appreciation as well. Folks, this is the way you want to be doing deals. Okay? This is the way you want to be doing deals. Now, with that being said, let's talk about how a lot of folks are confusing a bull market run in real estate where they've made a lot of money taking excessive risks, and they're masking that as if they have brains and selling that to people as if that's going to continue into perpetuity. Here's the thing, guys and gals, and this is where you might want to fasten your seatbelt a little bit, okay? Here's the thing. The problem with making money despite doing stupid things is that it just entices you to do it again and again and again until you finally get burnt for doing something stupid in the first place. This is why many of the gurus out here, they get rich and then they go bankrupt, and then they get rich again, and then they go bankrupt again, and then they get rich again. Now, in 30 years, through several significant up cycles, down cycles, I haven't gone bankrupt. Why? Because I've known since the very beginning, thanks to the people who drilled these points that I'm about to make to you, they drilled it into my head. That saved me, because I would have probably had that personality too. But I had it drilled into my head to not do stupid stuff, because you can build an absolute real estate investment empire without taking unnecessary risk with your money and with your credit. So it should be said that I admire big time the perseverance, the determination, the resilience that it actually takes to be on a yo-yo like that, right? To go from bankrupt to top of the world a couple times. You're a bad mamma jamma, right? where I get alarmed, excuse me, where I get alarmed is when that personality type begins to convince others that they should begin to do things that will potentially put them on a similar path to ruin that a lot of people aren't going to come back from. Not everybody's built the same. I mean, do you really want to go through all of that if you don't have to? Of course not. So doing some of the things that I'm going to discuss today, no doubt have worked very well for some, but they're far from ideal because there's too much speculation and risk involved. With real estate done the way that we do it, where we're not using our own money and we're not using our own credit, you never have risk, but you do have opportunity for massive gains. So to me, why take speculative risks unless you're totally okay with possibly losing everything? I'm not okay with that. Most people are not okay with that. So taking advice from people who are just built that way, don't care. I won't say they don't care, but taking advice from people who have that mindset doesn't mean you can't learn a lot from them, but it's not always wise because the risk tolerance is probably higher than what is prudent for most folks. So let me give you an example. I just don't want to be talking smack here. Let me give you some examples that, probably won't hurt anybody's feelings here. At least these first examples won't. I'm out here in Vegas, right? I don't know if you see the sun coming through. Let's take the roulette wheel. You know how many people are making fortunes at the roulette wheel right now across this city? They come here and they leave with fortunes on the roulette wheel. Does that happen? It happens every single day. However, it's the stupidest bet on the floor in terms of your odds of losing. What about sports betting? You can win a few games, but eventually that's a losing proposition. How's it going to win? What about crypto? Did a bunch of people make fortunes on crypto only to have many more get wiped out listening to the promoters who took those risks and scored? Look, quite a few people have made money on really, really risky real estate investment strategies that I highly recommend you avoid. My stomach is literally sick of certain things that I'm now hearing every day promoted on social media. So a lot of feelings might possibly get hurt, but this just has to be said. I want to be crystal clear, though. I'm not saying these things can't work. They can. Clearly they can, right? They've worked for many. They've even worked for me before. But hey, I've also won betting on the Chicago Bears. I've won on the Bears before, but that doesn't mean it's a good idea to be doing that repeatedly with an expectation that you're going to win every time. See, one thing about doing real estate the way that we do it is that there's strategies that we can deploy, like the one I showed you, that eliminate all the risk. I mean, how do you lose when you have none of your own money and none of your own credit in any of the deals? Here's the thing. I try to see the best in people, so I don't think anyone out here is necessarily trying to mislead anyone, but nonetheless, there's a lot of people being misled, unintentionally or not. And that's just what occurs with haphazard advice. See, there's personality differences, like I said, between some real estate entrepreneurs and people who just want to replace their job, spend more time with family, generally have more independence, time, freedom, money. So we're going to get specific here. Specific strategies that definitely can work in the right circumstances, but they're just monumentally idiotic when compared to the standards and filters that safer investors put in place to ensure gains with no risks of losses. So don't think that I'm calling anyone an idiot. I'm not saying it's stupid to do things that involve risk, but when you can accomplish the same or better without taking on risk, what should you do? I mean, look, the reason people disregard that sometimes it's really simple, and it's because it's a shortcut. It's easier. It's quicker to take shortcuts than it is to actually do the work yourself to get deals that meet the proper criteria. Shortcuts, oftentimes they pay off, but they also potentially lead to falling off cliffs. We don't want that. I'm certainly not an advocate for teaching that. So let's go through the top offenders. The top offenders, if you will, and what I'm specifically talking about. How about BRRRR? The idea of promoting the BRRRR strategy to beginners. It's not a day that goes by that I don't hear about this. So let's take a look a little bit deeper. First of all, you know what it is? Yeah, it's a fancy schmancy little acronym, very cute. BRRRR, BRRRR stands for buying a property, then you renovate the property, then you rent the property out, and then you go and refinance it at a higher repaired value so that you can get your cash out of it. And then the last R is to go and repeat the process over and over again so you can stack cash and cash flow over time. It sounds great, right? Well, let's start with why BRRRR is usually not what you want to be doing, especially as a beginner. Excuse me. I mean, I know it's something that's been scaled profitably. I know people have taken it to the moon, a few investors, but let's be real about what's happened over the last few years that they've been involved, right? They've benefited massively from a macroeconomic environment with lower interest rates for years and massive bubblicious appreciation that went along with it. Well, good for them. Right place, right time. But neither low rates nor appreciation is something that you can depend on over certain time frames. And now we have millions of people that are trained in this strategy who quite candidly have a good possibility of a very rude awakening in many respects. Folks, there are so many bad premises to this whole strategy. It's hard to know where to even begin. Okay, for one, the whole process of BRRRR, it takes an incredible amount of time, like several months for each property. So look, if you want to have a handful of properties by the time you're 90, walking with tennis balls on the bottom of your rocker, then go ahead and do BRRRR. Here's the other thing. You have to renovate the property, right? And in order to do that in a way that gets it to appraise much higher, you're going to be spending thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands of dollars. And then third, the whole point of the strategy is to be able to get the money back that was used to purchase the property and renovate, along with some profit via cash out refinancing. Well, first of all, good luck getting that at a high enough loan to value ratio where you can do all that without personally guaranteeing the debt. A strict no-no for us. So, let's look at the math that makes this strategy so enticing. You buy it for, let's use round numbers here. Buy a property for 100 grand. You renovate it for 20 grand. So you're into it for 120 grand plus your closing costs, financing costs. Then you're going to go out and rent that property to a regular tenant that you just spent 20 grand rehabbing. Are you out of your freaking skull? Bad idea. Think, how do you treat a hotel room? How do you treat a rental car? No regular tenant, no matter how well you screen them, and we screen them excellently, but no tenant is not going to have wear, not going to have tear. There's going to be babies, kids up in there. There's going to be Marmadukes, dogs. There's going to be damage. And it makes literally no sense to be putting regular tenants into freshly rehabbed properties that you just spent 20 grand on. So now let's say you did all that. Now you got to go and try to refinance it without a lot of time that the tenant's been in there seasoning it. And you got to hope and pray that the appraisal of the house comes in where you need it. And then where you can even get a high enough loan to value ratio on it from the lender in order for you to get the cash out during that refinance. So not only did you spend 30 days waiting to close to buy the property when you first bought it, but you probably spent another couple months waiting for it to be renovated, hoping that your permits come in okay, and you don't get eaten alive by the financing costs that probably were done with hard money loans like some of these guys are recommending. And then you have to wait probably yet another month from there to refinance it, hopefully with a better rate, maybe not. So all in all, you're waiting a minimum of 3 to 4 months on just one property. And then you have to hope that you can even get the cash out of it. And then on top of all that, you've just pulled most of the equity out of the property with a higher loan amount, which means higher payments. So now you're trading your cash flow that you're getting from the tenant to make the higher payments on the house. So let's say you rented the house at $1,200 a month before you refinanced it. You're renting it out for that. And maybe you were paying $700. Great. Got $500 a month of cash flow. Well, that's nice. But what happens when you get that new loan at a higher valuation and now your mortgage is $1,000? So now not only do you have very thin cash flow on that property, but you might not even have got enough cash out of it. And even if you do, the property has much less equity and may soon be underwater depending on how the market goes with any kind of a downturn. You may end up getting the place back with damage that costs you yet another few K just to get it back in rentable condition, especially if you end up having to evict someone because they don't care about your house. They aren't planning on buying it like our tenants do, right? Like our tenant buyers do. You have a totally different quality of tenant in there. You have no protection in the form of a large option fee, the 25 grand, the 30 grand, the stuff that I was showing you. Okay. And then to top it all off, the strategy is now calling for you to go and do that foolishness all over again. That's the last R, the repeat. No thanks. It's not intelligent to do this. If there were no other strategies out there, maybe, but it's not intelligent to do this when there's much better ways to accomplish better profits without those risks. Strategies like the one I showed you before. So, look, if you do this baroque strategy a couple times a year, if even that, then you end up with 2 properties that aren't cash flowing well, that used to be remodeled very well. And now you have tenants that have the risk of wrecking your unit. Oh my God. Look, to make a long story short, don't do the BRRRR strategy. Just don't do it. It's going to save you so much time, so much aggravation, so many headaches if you avoid making this mistake. I've had fun. I know it's fun saying BRRRR. I know a few people have made a lot of money with the idea, but look, BRRRR, it's going to make you broke if you don't learn better ideas. Skip that one, seriously. Or better, just do it the way we do it and drop a few of those R's. Buy it the right way, rent it the right way to a tenant buyer, and repeat. That's way smarter and way more profitable and way more scalable. I just want to make sure y'all still with me here. Are y'all still with me? What's going on in the comments here? I didn't lose anybody, did I? I can't really see all the comments here. I'll take a peek at them in a minute, but hope y'all are still with me because I'm rolling here. I have some more stuff to share with you along the way. Y'all still with me? All right. Let's get back into this a little bit here. You want to hear some more bad advice? Here's some more bad advice. Conventional wisdom. It's just accepted, but it's just plain wrong. And that conventional wisdom is that wholesaling cheap cash deals is the best place for beginners to start so that they can build capital and build credit to make their own investments. I hear this every day. Oh, I'm just going to wholesale a few properties, build up my cash, build up my credit so that I can get into like multifamily. First of all, you don't need capital. You don't need credit to make a fortune. And I've shown you that over the last few weeks. Go look at the $1 million deals. None of that was done with capital or credit. Make a fortune. And even if you do have capital and credit, you shouldn't be using it for real estate investment most of the time anyway. It's far easier to structure full price deals like the one that I shared with you where there wasn't very much equity in that house. And then if you want to, you can assign those. You can double close on those and get some cash in your pocket, or just do it the way that I suggest. You still get plenty of cash in your pocket. So, if you're going to wholesale and assign stuff, wholesaling terms deals, it does require you to learn terms, to learn creative finance, but people are just too lazy. They want to focus on something that seems simple, like buy low, sell high. And unfortunately, in today's world, that's just a very difficult strategy to make work and to sustain. It does work, but to sustain it and make enough money and to start there, that's not the best place to start. Okay, I see some of y'all are there. I see Jim. Thank you for whoever is saying some of the stuff in here. The folks who are saying, see, all y'all who are on Facebook, it's cool to watch it on Facebook, but you might want to go and hit that YouTube link and then repost those comments in there so I can see who's saying what, and I can put you all up. Because there's like the way StreamYard works, I can't see like some of the Facebook stuff, which is why YouTube is a little bit better place. But I got more. I'm just getting started here, folks. I got probably 3 more things that you need to hear. Stuff y'all shouldn't be even considering. Like this one. And this should be common sense. This should just be common sense. But, you know, if you look close enough, it seems like to me in today's world, and let me know if you agree with this in the comments, but in today's world of social media dominance, that sensibility has shifted, and the term should actually no longer be called common sense, but it should be called uncommon sense. You following me on that? It's literally become uncommon to have any basic sense to begin with. I don't see it out there very much. I mean, I can't even get served a McDonald's drive-through order without more than half the time the order being wrong and something missing. Sense is uncommon today. And nowhere is this more evident than in some of these Facebook groups out here. Look, don't learn real estate investing from social media addicted Facebook group members instead of the qualified people, probably qualified, who actually own the page or run the pages. They're probably going to charge you money, right? And that's why you fall back and learn from the minions in the group. Don't do that. Get education directly from the source, not from posers trying to be cool in a Facebook group who have seen a few videos they like, they've never done a deal, or they claim they've done this many of them, and they have an opinion on everything. It's completely ridiculous. Let me give you an example. Y'all probably have seen this. This video has a lot of views. Got fed to me the other day, and I was like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I saw a video the other day. Get this. I saw a video the other day. It's from maybe a year ago was the date that it was posted. I just couldn't believe it. I saw a video. The guy won like a $10,000 drawing of some sort. And his wife, with baby in hand in him, they were practically crying over this newfound money. Because the guy that won the money, he explained to the real estate investor who was giving the money away, but the guy who won the money, he had a car that needed fixing. And his wife's car also didn't work. And he was struggling, like trying to figure out, how am I going to get to work? And then suddenly this $10,000 gift comes his way. So they're ecstatic, right? Good for them. I'm happy for them that they won that. That's great. The guy who gave it to him literally then asks him, I was on a run when I was listening to this. It was in my headphones, and I had to actually pull my phone out and watch it. The guy who gave him the money literally asked him, well, you know, pay it back by helping people in the group. Are you freaking kidding me? This is who should be teaching your strategies? A guy who is clearly dead broke, struggling to survive. I mean, come on, man. The guy who won the cash is like, oh yeah, I'll be helping people after this day. I'll be doing it day and night. I'll be in the group to answer any of your questions about how these strategies work and how you can make money with these strategies. I'll answer any questions. I'm going to be there for you. This is great. I want to give back. I'm ready to do it. Just ask me any questions. Anyone out here, you can reach out to me personally anytime for help because I want to pay it back. But my dude is flat broke. I mean, are you kidding me? I was like, am I on Impractical Jokers? Am I on TV or something? Am I really seeing this? People, don't take financial help from people who just told everyone that they're totally broke and can't even afford a car repair to go to work without winning money randomly. I mean, I can't even believe I have to say this. Nothing against the folks who won the money or against them as people, but if you're doing that poorly financially right now, you're probably not the person I should be going to for advice. I'm glad you're willing to be generous and offer it, but don't think I'm going to take it. Here's another one. I alluded to it earlier. Do not pay large fees to buy a subject to deal like I just showed you, where there's a realtor, a wholesaler, a seller who all want to get paid up front significant amounts of money. You don't want to be doing that on a sub 2 deal. Could it work? Yeah, but you don't want to be doing that. Your focus should be to get the deal first. Be in that position that the realtor was in who got the deal, or be in that position of the wholesaler who got the deal, and then work directly with the seller. I know that's not going to happen all the time, but that should be your focus, to get the deal directly from the seller so that you're not paying a bunch of middlemen at your own peril because you're too lazy to get the deals yourself. These deals are out here all over the place. You don't need to settle for that. These deals, you really got to be the one who gets to the seller first, unless the middleman, meaning the realtor, the wholesaler, and also the seller, are willing to offer terms on getting the money that they want out of the deal. So if the realtor's willing to take their commission, down the line on some kind of terms, or out of your cash flow, or later on, maybe if you end up paying it off, it might work. But very rarely do those kinds of deals make any sense for anyone other than the wholesaler who's selling it to you, the realtor who's now teamed up with the wholesaler who's selling it to you, or the seller. So yeah, you can do that if you're in that role, but not where you're the buyer with all those parties needing cash at close. Don't be doing that. It's totally unnecessary to do that as a buyer. But here's the good news. People, they seem, from what I'm seeing, to be more than willing to pay exorbitant amounts of money like that. So that should actually incent us massively to go get these deals the way I just described, because guess what? We can easily go to those people who are willing to pay those massive entry fees and overpay. But let's just be clear. That doesn't mean that people should be taught in the first place that it's a good idea to be doing that, to be putting significant amount of money into a sub 2 deal where you have very little equity and you don't have perfectly clean title. Okay, it's a bad idea. Thanks, Brian. I see you in here, Jim. Let me continue. I got another one for you. This one absolutely takes the cake for me. Takes the cake. This idea of lending earnest money deposits to wholesalers who can't raise a measly few grand themselves, or lend earnest money deposits to new investors who have no track record. This is where you should get started in real estate, seriously. Or really, you should get started in real estate doing any kind of transactional lending as a brand new investor. Recipe for disaster for lots of reasons. For one, you got to be able to evaluate a deal if you're going to do that. You got to be able to evaluate if it's even going to close to protect yourself in transactional lending. And if you already know how to do that, then you don't have any need to be lending your money out when you can just be going out and getting the deals yourself for much better paydays. You've got the earnest money deposit. Go do the deal if you know how to do it and you know what looks good. Don't just be giving random people earnest money deposits because they're good salespeople and they made a bunch of comments in the group and they sound like they know what they're doing. You're going to get killed, crushed. And if you're the investor, the one who wants the funding from some new small-time transactional lender who's got a few $1,000s to lend, then you as an investor are either too broke to come up with a few grand yourself or through your network. And if you don't even have that as an investor, ain't no way I'm going to be giving you my money to blow. And if you're already reliable and a skilled investor, then you're certainly not going to be giving somebody the massive returns that are promised with this strategy. The strategy promises, oh, you put 3,000 in, get 6,000 back or something like that, right? Who the hell's going to do that? Promise to double your money to borrow your cash for a couple hours or a couple weeks. No savvy investor who can actually close deals does stupid stuff like that in small amounts of money, because we've got plenty of relationships and other outlets for that at a way cheaper vig. And paying that vigorish, less cost to us, right? The vig, just silly. I can't believe how many people have reached me telling me that this is how this is like their occupation now. So I'll be like, oh, so you're a transactional lender. Okay, I get it. So what's the most that you can lend? I'm always looking for private lenders. And they're like, well, I got 3,000. I ask if they've ever even done it before, and it's like crickets. Folks, this is ridiculous. If you only have a few $1,000s and you're looking to get started in real estate investment, don't lend it. Don't lend it and put it at risk with other prospective real estate investors that are so broke that they need you and your $3,000. I mean, come on, man. Serious? Use the money, get into a coaching program. Doesn't have to be mine. Put the money to work on your own skill development so you can be the tycoon that you want to be, so that you can get the skills that you want to go out and make real money versus trying to turn 3K into 5K at massive risk to you. Stop with the shortcut nonsense that makes literally no sense. Folks, I could go on and on. Things like estimating cash flow based on renting rooms out in a house to alcoholics. You think they're all going to get along in there just fine? Ain't going to be nothing broken. You're going to do that to compensate for the bad deal that you got in the first place. I mean, if you're an experienced investor, yeah, the strategy can work for good cash flow. But again, we're talking about newer investors. We're talking about, you can speculate when you have the money to lose, but when you don't have the money to lose, you don't want to be doing this kind of stuff. Okay. We're not going to compensate for the bad deals that we've done by putting risky but higher cash flow strategies in place. I mean, there's so many more things we could go through, but we'll be here all night. So, there you have it. Look, don't confuse a bull market with brains. Believe it or not, having said all this, I've got nothing but love for all the teachers, their students. This is just meant to offer a dose of reality, of perspective from someone who's been around for 30 years, never once gone bankrupt, let alone more than once. Why? Because I shoot straight and I don't need to take crazy risks to produce plenty of money, and neither do you. So let me just say this. People need coaching to get help with implementation and the nuances of different deals that come up. And that pays for itself extremely quickly in so many ways. But if you're wanting free because you think you can make that work, then go ahead, by all means. But just be forewarned that 95% of the time, you're not going to be able to piece everything together properly. There's too many nuances in this business, and you're going to end up making mistakes of either omission, which can be expensive, or mistakes of commission, which can definitely be expensive. And it just costs you far more than the coaching would have. But, I understand money can be tight. This coaching program, it's damn near close to free. I've started people with as little as a few grand. Tuition here, it's very low. I'm not hitting you for 10 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand like other good programs do, because I'm actually not selling coaching. What I'm trying to do here is recruit people that I can get self-reliant without breaking their bank, so that they can get up to speed without too much financial pressure. And then what happens, because I know they're trained well, we can get in joint venture deals later where I know from Jump Street that you're properly trained. That's actually how I make money, not from this chump change tuition that I'm giving you. You're welcome for that, by the way. I make money betting on the come. I'm betting that if I pick the right people to take under my wing here cheaply, that later we're going to be able to do deals together. deals that I either finance for you or deals that we joint venture on where I become the quarterback of the deal, you become the boots on the ground, and we end up splitting the profits until you're 100% self-sufficient and you just don't need me or want to JV anymore, because you'll soon see it's really not necessary once you're self-reliant. That's a heavy cost to split deals. You don't have to do that. So here, we make money by doing deals here, not by selling some hoo-ha recycled wholesaling course for $29.97 or whatever, okay? But I'm going to ask you here. I'm going to ask you directly, not all of you, but some of you, I'm going to ask you why. Why is it, if you're watching this and we haven't been on a phone call together, after all the time you've been thinking about this, why is it that some of you, a few of you, still, for some reason, you haven't explored with me via a Zoom call the chance to acquire these skills that can get you the financial results that you want? Why haven't you done that? What in the world are you waiting for? The call's free, isn't it? Last time I looked. I mean, it's easy for me to push you like this because I know if you'll just quit thinking, and start doing, you'll get what you want. I mean, with my help, you will, but you may not be so sure. So there's hesitation. But let me just kind of put you in my brain for a second and let you see it from my perspective, because this is what it's like for me, and you'll all be able to relate to this. Have you ever been like in line at a stoplight to turn right on a red light, and that person in front of you, for some reason, they can legally go, they can turn, but they just won't? You been there? You're like, come on, man, go, for Pete's sake. Do you need an invitation? Press the pedal, go. Well, the next time that you're driving and you're wanting to just tell someone to hit the gas and go and drive, just remember this and know that that's kind of what I'm thinking about some of y'all. Some of y'all who aren't in the coaching program, you haven't been on a Zoom call with me. I'm thinking, come on, go, hit the gas, let's get it. It's true. That's what I'm thinking. Here's what it's going to take. I mean, when you start to realize that you're losing tens of thousands of dollars a month in revenue by a crime of omission, right? Could be a crime of commission because your real estate investment process, it might be non-existent, it might be broken. But when you realize you're losing tens of thousands of dollars a month, then you're going to be able to see that it's far less risky for you to pinch a few $1,000s of your money or available credit card room and put it into mentoring and coaching. Put it into mentoring and coaching so that you can solve the problems that you have and get the results that you want, and to break your analysis paralysis. You'll see that it's way less risky to invest a little in coaching right now than it is to wait until the time is just right for you, which it never will be. And then nothing changes. And you go another month or another year or another 3 years. Everything stays status quo, or where things actually get worse and they get more urgent. So, I mean, if you want to help your family, you want to help your church, you want to leave your boss a pink slip and stop trading your time for money and actually do some meaningful work, helping sellers and buyers get what they need and what they want, and then feel really good about yourself every day and put some dollars in your pocket, holler at your boy. Schedule a Zoom call and let's go. Let's discuss getting a plan together for you that actually makes sense and isn't built on stupidity or speculation or having you do risky things with your time, with your energy, with your money, with your resources. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all very much. Everybody have a good night. And we'll do this again on Thursday. I'm just looking at some of these comments in here. What is this? Yep, that's good advice in there. All right. I appreciate you guys staying with me. This went longer than I expected. This stuff needed to be said, but everybody have a wonderful evening. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off, and we'll make sure this stuff is loaded up in the group. Send out a replay if you came late because of the technical difficulties that yours truly created at the beginning. But anyway, everybody have a wonderful evening. Peace, love, happiness. Over and out.